friends. Today I made this really cute little card using a new stamp set that's coming out in the Stampin' Up! Holiday Catalog, which is available September 1st, 2016, and it features a bunch of cute little mice, such as this one. The stamp set is called Merry Mice, and I will show that to you. This is the stamp set. Really cute, and this is the image that I used on my card. For the background of this card, I'm using the Woodland embossing folder from Stampin' Up! So it looks like birch trees, super pretty. And I'm going to ink up the side that has Sizzix written on it. So I'm just going to open that up. And the colors I'm using are Marina Mist and Dapper Denim. So I'm just adding some ink with my sponge, lightly rubbing it onto the embossing folder. Alright, we're done with Marina Mist. Now we're taking the Dapper Denim. And again, I'm just sponging on, lightly sponging on the top. You want to make sure too that when you're using your ink pads on this folder that if you've re-inked them recently or if they're brand new, you don't want them to be like super juicy. You don't want to have like bubbles from too much ink onto your folder. So I'm using a piece of Fairy Vanilla cardstock, and this measures 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm just going to position this inside my folder. Oops. Fold it over. Put it between my two plates. And then I'm opening up my multi-purpose platform onto tab 1. And I'm going to crank that through my Big Shot. Alright. And there's my background with the trees. Really happy with that. And then this folder with the ink on it, you can just put it underneath a kitchen tap and rinse it out. I actually just have an empty mist bottle with some water, and I spray it and just wipe it with the damp cloth. Okay, I'm going to take my Dapper Denim ink again with the sponge and just sponge around the edges. Now on this card, I took the biggest tree from Lovely as a tree stamp set and stamped it on my folder. After I sponged it, I stamped directly on the folder and then ran it through. And I forgot to do that on this card, but you can kind of see the trees popping through behind the birch trees. And I'm going to put this on a piece of garden green cardstock using my liquid glue. Now, I want to add some glitter to make it look like snow on this base. So, what I did is I took my silicone mat and I took my fine tip glue pen, which is actually plugged. I need to clean it up, so I just poured a little bit. Whoa, that's a bit too much. Oh well. I'm going to be stamping a lot today, so I know I'm going to use that up. Then I took a foam brush and I just dabbed it into that fine tip glue, and I just kind of randomly patted it all over the front of my card. Take my Dazzling Diamond glitter and sprinkle it right on top. A spoon would be handy, but my spoon is missing in action right now. Tap off the excess. Hopefully you can see on the video how pretty this looks with the glitter. Well, I think pretty much anybody that knows me and anyone that watches my channel knows how much I love my Dazzling Diamond glitter. Makes me very happy. Alright, we have some serious glitter going on. So pretty. Okay, now I'm going to set that aside and move on to my little mouse. So I took this image and I inked it up with black stays on and stamped it on some scrap Whisper White. So I'm just going to quickly color him. I'm taking my garden green ink pad, squeezing the top with the lid so I can have a puddle of ink. Taking my aqua painter, and I'm just going to add some color and quickly color this little guy. And if you go over the lines, don't worry about it too much because this is going to be trimmed out. Now I'm taking my blender pen because I'm working in a tinier area on the scarf. And you could use the garden green marker, of course, but my blending pen is right here and handy, so that's what I'm using. Okay, now that this bottom half is dry, I'm going to add some more garden green for shading. Now I'm going into my cherry cobbler, and I'm going to color in his shirt. Just so you know, I'm using the aqua painter as well as the blender pen with my ink because the aqua painter makes your ink look softer, and then of course I'm going in with the blender pen, or you could use a marker just to add that extra shading. So I want that little red shirt to dry, so while that's drying I'm going to color my mouse, and I'm going to use some crumb cake for him. This little mouse is so cute. This whole stamp set is really adorable. In fact, everything in the new holiday catalog is amazing. So if you're in Canada and if you don't already have a demonstrator and you'd like to get your hands on the new holiday catalog, just go to my blog at www.serenestamper.com and you'll see my email there, and I'll be happy to pop one in the mail for you. Now I'm taking my Blushing Bride and I'm going to color inside the ears. Taking my chocolate chip marker, I'm going to color in his little nose. Bring back our cherry cobbler and the blender pen. So you can see how much darker this is using the blender pen. Okay, so I'm going to clean that off, going back and forth on my grid paper. Da-dee-da-dee-da. That's good. He's pretty stinking cute. Alright, going into my Marina Mist. I'm going to take my blender pen, color in the rest of the scarf and the hat. I'm going to keep that white because I'm going to add some glitter to that at the end. I just realized we forgot to color in his little hands, so we're going to have to go back and do that. I suppose if you wanted to, you could color his hands in the same color of his pants, and then it looks like he's wearing little mittens. But I'm going to just use the crumb cake. There. I'm going to color in his little music book with Pool Party. Again, using my aqua painter. Alright. He's pretty adorable. There he is. I love him so much. He's so cute. Okay, now I'm going to fussy cut him out. Fussy cutting is literally when you're like going around. It's all kind of like fussy, including his little tail. So I could film the whole thing, or I could just like come back after he's cut, which is probably what I'm going to do because it could take a few minutes. But it really, you know, some people just don't like to do this type of cutting, but as I've said in other videos, I find it really relaxing. So I'm gonna just kind of pause the video and relax while I'm cutting and come right back to you. Here's my little mouse all cut out. He's so cute. So the trickiest part is cutting around his little whiskers and his little tail, but it's very doable. So this took me no more than 5 minutes, probably under 5 minutes. Like I said, it's just, you got to take your time around the whiskers and the tail. So let's put him on the card. So you see how cute he's going to be. Oh my goodness. So I want to add some burlap ribbon like I did on this card. And what I should have done was add it to this layer here before I glued it down. But I didn't think about that. So, yes. So I'm going to try to improvise a little bit here. I'll show you how I do the bow first. I saw another demonstrator show how to do this, and I can't think of her name. It's on YouTube. It was so brilliant. So I'm taking one of our Stampin' Spritzers. Depending on the size of your ribbon and the size of your bow, you could use a marker for this. You could use virtually anything that's round. I'm just tying a knot really, really tight. Tight, 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 tight. All right, then you pull it off like that, and then you snip it on a diagonal, and voila, a bow. Who would have thunk it? All right, so now I have to figure out how I'm going to put it onto my card. Okay. I'm just going to glue it down. Even though these edges are frayed and they're not going to wrap around, I'm just going to say that's the look I'm going for. There. And then you can just kind of play with this. If you want to, you could put a little glue dot underneath it. So, anyways, there we go. All right, time for my little mouse here. So in my last video, which was featuring the sitting here stamp set, I showed how you can make the pillows kind of 3D. We're going to do that with his little belly and maybe his little face too. So I have my paper piercing mat, flip him over, and I got my stylus, and I'm using the bigger end, and I'm just going to go in little circles around his belly. So it looks like he's got a bit of a belly from eating gingerbread. Too much gingerbread and too much whipping cream on the hot chocolate. Yes, you get silly when you start stamping too long by yourself. Alright, so he now has a little bit of a belly and his face is popped out a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is take a couple dimensionals and put 2 inside his belly, comme ça, and then 1 by his face, and then I'm taking my Tombow glue and I'm going to go around the edge because I'm going to push the edge down. Oh, not his ears, because I want his ears to be kind of like 3D. I'm going to fold his ears so that they look like they're sticking up. Alright. Oh, I'm going to put a little bit on his tail. I am getting glue all over me. And this glue is the worst glue to get off your fingers. Oh well. It's alright. Okay. So, now then. I think I'm actually going to put him over the ribbon. Or should I put him above the ribbon? Or should I put him over here? I'm going to put him below the ribbon. Because what the heck? Oh, wait. We need to take off the backs of the dimensionals. That'll make a big difference. Alright. Okay. Put him down right there. Maybe right there. Push down on the dimensionals, and then I'm pushing around the edges. So again, his little belly and a bit of his face is kind of puffy. Now, in the new holiday catalog, we have new glittery flakes. I'm not sure if they're mica or mica, how you say them, M-I-C-A, but they're fun. And you got gold, and you got green, and you got white. And we're using some of the white for snow. So, I'm going to take my same glue here and add some glue for the snow. Okay, and then I'm putting a little bit on top of his hat and the little pom-pom. Okay, the scrap paper is my handy dandy funnel for the glitter here. Well, it's not really glitter, but it's fun flakes of some kind. Alright, gonna dump that down. There's a lot of this in one of these bags. It's gonna last for sure. Can you see? There he is in all his glory. So now we need to add a sentiment. First, we're going to dump this back in the bag. Dump the rest on my carpet. If anybody wonders why my dogs and my cat have like glitter and stuff on them, now you know why. It's because they lie down on the floor down here, which is of course covered in glitter. Embrace the glitter. Alright, we need to add a saying. So, some of the Fairy Vanilla cardstock, when I trimmed it for this card, I had some bits and pieces left over. So I'm going to use that for my banner. And in this set, we have Wishing You a Festive Season. So we're going to use that. So I've already stamped it up here in the corner on my piece of plastic that comes with the Stamp-A-Majig. I'm going to take my black marker and I'm just going to color in the Wishing You a, and I'm going to omit the bottom portion of this stamp. I'm going to take my banner, that down, position it so that it's straight, put my handle in place, hop on the stamp and stamp it down. Then I'm taking my misting the stamp. Okay, make sure that's clean, and now I'm going to do the same thing but on the bottom half of the stamp. Okay, now I'm going to position this, put down my handle, huff, push down. Now it's a little bit down. I don't like that, so we're going to redo it. I know sometimes people like it when I leave mistakes in the video, so this is for you. Okay, I'm just going to stamp that bottom half since it's already the last one I've got inked. Okay. Try this again. Make sure it's not upside down. There. That looks pretty good. So, if you've not done this before, when you've got stamps where they're like words below each other, you can stretch them out lengthwise like this just with that Stamp-A-Majig. Okie doke. Let's just trim that off. I'm going to cut a little bit closer to the words. Trim that. Now, I have to decide, what, do I want this going that way or do I want this going that way? I want it going that way. So I'm going to add my little banner tip on this end. So I'm snipping up the center and then side to side. I do this a lot. Taking my bone folder and I'm going underneath and over top so that it curls. And a glue dot. And another glue dot right about there. All right. Now the last little bit on this card is adding a little bit of holly here. So this is an awesome new Hostess stamp set called Time of Year. I love this set. So we're going to use this holly right here. Now, just a little trick. If when you're using the photopolymer stamps for the very first time, when you're adding ink, like with your markers or something like that, and the ink is kind of like bubbling, if it's not covering the surface properly, stamp this in Versamark ink first and then stamp it off and then use your markers and your inks. It works like a charm. It's almost like it, I don't know, conditions the photopolymer stamps. I heard that tip from somebody else and tried it, and it works. It works really, really well. Huffing, pushing down, and then again, I'm just gonna fussy cut this piece out. Glue dots, put it right underneath the berries, and then stick her down. And then the last little bit is adding some dazzling diamond glitter to my holly. Now, I would use my fine tip glue, but as I mentioned earlier, it's clogged up. So I'm using the two-way glue pen that has since retired, but I did buy another one before they went away for good because I love my two-way glue pen. But the fine tip glue is pretty awesome too, must say. Okay, where's my little scrap paper? Oh yeah, and we've got to kind of make his ears 3D. So I'm just going to kind of like, you know, when you're using flowers on your cards and you kind of pop them up and maybe kind of curl them a little bit, that's what I'm doing with his little ears. So that when somebody gets this, they can see his little ears are popped up, and he's got a little bit of belly, and he's got a little, his face is popped up a little bit. So cute. And here's the first one that I did. Just a little bit differently, and of course, like I said, I stamped the images from Lovely as a Tree in the background. But really, this card does not take that long to put together. So if these were to be your Christmas cards, they could come together pretty darn quick. And there's like other images in this stamp set, so you could even add like, you know, some more mice here, Christmas tree. I mean, seriously, goes on and on, the possibilities. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Happy stamping.